13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just failed.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome. You're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. The phone number to call if you have some questions, comments, or opinions, 937-457-9464. One more time, 937-457-9464. You get me on Twitter also, KAB41. And you can see me live. We're streaming the show live today on the Facebook. You go to 1410 ESPN and you can see me. I got my Philadelphia Eagles hat on today. I refuse to wear my Philadelphia 76er hat because we got swept out of the playoffs, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit later on in the show. And there was a couple teams that got swept. My Sixers was one of them. And Luka, we're going to talk NBA playoffs. We cannot talk NBA playoffs right this year, 2020, without mentioning Luka Doncic. So we definitely got to talk about him, the big shot that he had yesterday. Over the weekend. It's a big-time shot, big-time game. But before that, I want to talk about college football. And who better to talk to? One of my ex-teammates. I am not old, but he's older than me. He's a head coach at Arizona State University, Herm Edwards. He took me under his wings when I first got into the league and showed me a thing or two about how to be a professional. So we talked to him over the weekend, so I wanted to include you guys, in that conversation also. So without much further ado, this is my conversation with Arizona State University head coach, along with my partner, Justin Kenner, Herm Edwards. Let's get to that right away.
I am doing well.
Good to be here as well also.
Now, Coach Edwards, I'm sure you're getting a lot of the same questions about the Pac-12 and the Big Ten and the postponement. We'll get into all that boring stuff in a moment, but you two played together at the Eagles, and I'm always hearing different, stories and memories of you two. So Keith, I'm going to let you kind of open up here as we hit the ground running.
Well, I was wet behind the nose, right down the ear rookie when I came in. And, being there with Herm Edwards, I was like, that's the Miracle in the Meadowlands guy. Man, I know who the Herman is. But I wanted to learn, I probably told you in the past, Herman, but we only played a short time together in Philadelphia before you went on to Kansas City. But I learned so much from you being there, like I said, wet behind the ear rookie. And I said, I need to learn from vets. And even though we played different positions, whether you was in the training table, in the sitting around in practice getting something to eat, or sitting around in the dorms, I was always trying to be that third ear, listening to you and Ronell Young and a whole lot of other veterans. I'm like, you guys, you've been in the league, I think at that time, like 10 or 12 years. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to be you guys one of these days. And so I just was trying to be like hopefully a lot of these rookies are today, and even incoming freshmen, because you're at college now. Learn from people who've been there before and have done it. And do you still try to, portray those messages and all the other stuff of your life that you've been in?
Keith, I do, and it's a good segue into the fact that everything I've learned my whole life, along with all of us on the screen, we've actually learned from somebody else. No coach in the history of coaching any sport has ever given a player talent. No one gave Keith talent. God gave him his talent. Now, what you're able to understand is when you're well aware of that, and you have to be a seeker of knowledge. You have to be an information gatherer. And Keith was that. He was that guy. And being in the league that long, when I played, you could tell there were some rookies, they couldn't figure that out. They just couldn't figure it out, and they struggled. And once they figure that out, they can find their way. It's not about their talent. They're talented enough. It's just how you go about, when we always say, be a pro. Well, what is a pro? decide putting a helmet on and running into the stadium. There's all these other things you have to do to be a pro. This is professional football. This is not a hobby. This is your life's work. And what are you willing to do to be the best professional you can be? That's critical. And I think some guys don't realize that. They worry about their brand. They worry about this. And I always tell them, all that stuff sells when you're a good football player. Invest your time in football, because the thing we do know about football, the one thing we do know about football, it is not a career. It's an opportunity. It can end on one play. Keith has seen it. I've seen it. I've seen guys come to training camp, get a knee, career over. Yep. So it's not a career. It's an opportunity. And what you do with that opportunity, that little window you have, is very important.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because when I heard you was coming back to college, I'm like, Arizona State don't know what they're getting. They're getting more than a football coach. They're getting a life coach and going to give you lessons that's going to last a lifetime. And, I learned, I used to copy, knowledge. The thing of this, when you was in Philadelphia, everybody, coming out in practice looking a certain way, you had that long beach towel at practice. I'm something with a smile. And I'm like, you're right. And I used to wear that same towel. I don't want a little 6-inch towel. Give me a whole body towel. Because I put in work, I need to be wiping all my sweat. Because that's what a pro does. So if it works for you, I'll make it work for me. And I have other guys follow me throughout the years, and they don't even know I got that from you. I'm like, no, I'm going to do this time. That's for game day. But practice day, you put in the work. And I learned that from you.
I do, and you make a great point in the fact that at the end, it's about this. Is whatever we do in life, when we first experience our first opportunity, whether it's in television, radio, being an NFL football player, you need to find a mentor to kind of show you the ropes. Because as much as you're confident and all that, really you have this anxiety in you because you really don't know. But a person being a mentor is important. And I always say this, look, it's not so much what you give or what you take from football. What will you give back to the players and the coaches that follow you? That's part of the deal. That's part of being a pro. That's part of being a college athlete, student athlete. How are you making it better for the guys that follow you? Because there's going to be guys that follow you. You want to make the game better.
Right, because everybody's career comes with an expiration date. You just don't know when it's going to be always, but it's an expiration date.
That is true.
All right, we got Arizona State head football coach Herm Edwards with us here on the Justin Kinner Show. Justin Kinner, Keith Byars, Herm Edwards with you here this afternoon. And Coach Edwards, this is one of the most interesting times right now in all of sports. And you have a very unique position right now as a head football coach in college. 2 Power 5 conferences, of course, have postponed the upcoming football season, the Big Ten and Pac-12. With you being a head coach within the Pac-12, just your thoughts on when this process started of kind of wondering where the conference was going to go with this to when you officially heard the final decision of they're going to postpone until the spring, just your general reaction to everything along the way.
Well, no, I was not naive walking into this. We knew that the doctors, the medical professionals were going to lead us. No head coach was going to lead us through this. No president, no AD. It was always left up to the doctors. And I think if you understood that walking in, this is the first time, like, coach, you want to be in charge, right? You weren't in charge of this one now. They were going to make the game plan out, and you were going to follow it. I mean, follow it to the T. Because if you didn't, you're going to find yourself in a bad way. So with all that being said, I think as more information came out, and some of the teams were in different situations, some of the teams in California were a little bit different than Arizona, Washington, and I think they drew the conclusion that safety for players, coaches, for all involved, was not in a place where they felt they could get a season in. So we postponed at this point, and we're looking to try to play in the spring, obviously, like other teams are as well.
Now, when you say play in the spring, I know it's not that nothing's definite, but when does that start? Is that February, January, or April?
Keith, you make a good point. I would think if they would try to do that, because all of a sudden you have the draft coming up, and the draft's not going to change. You have the combine coming up. I think if you try to do that, you're talking in January, maybe February, and you could now. I don't think you can play a whole season. I don't think that at all. I think if you were in the Pac-12, one of the things that I brought up was maybe you just play in your conference. You play the 5 games in the North, and the other teams plays the 5 games in the South, and then they have a conference championship, which is 6 games. Now you're talking 6 games, along with next season playing 12 games. Well, that's 18 games. Well, LSU played 17 games last year in one season.
Right.
So I think if you get over that amount of games, you're going to put the players in a position where, you know what, injury could occur, and you don't want to do that to any football player.
Yeah,
that being said,
time also.
Right. So that being said, too, think about this way. You know this because you went to the combine. Now, if players, they would be eligible to go to the combine, they wouldn't have to work out because they just had a season. They would have to go get physicals and do the interviews. And so everything would kind of stay intact that way. Now, that's just me talking. I don't get to make the decision. I don't even want to try to make the decision. But that's something that came to mind when I thought about it.
Yeah, also what's on my mind, what are we playing for? There's no bowl game at the end of those 6, 8, or 9 games, or however many they deem to play. And we still got to get ready for the upcoming next season. Yeah. And, like, why are we playing?
Well, I think this, for you would crown for us a Pac-12 champion. Also this, Keith, if seniors did not want to come back, let's just say they weren't going to be a high-round pick. They were, maybe going to be a 4th-round pick or 3rd-round pick. Playing 6 games allows you to get more tape. That helps them. It also allows them to decide this. If they play those 6 games and they don't like it, they can actually come back. So they're kind of in a win-win situation because all these kids, the seniors, they get a free year. They can come back regardless of how many games you play. So that's a good option for them. Now, some guys, like you say, Keith, they'll say, you know what, I'm not going to play. We know that anyway. You go to some bowl games, guys, and they're seniors. We've had 2 bowl game experiences already, and 4 players didn't go. I mean, N'Keal Henry was drafted in the 1st round. He didn't play. Brandon Ayuk this year got drafted in the 1st round. He didn't play in the bowl game. So I understand that. There's always going to be some players that opt out.
Okay, all right. Well, you kind of answered my next question, would be the eligibility, as far as your recruiting. You're trying to choose a college. Well, is that guy going to be gone? The reason why I want to come there, or, do I get to hang on to my freshman eligibility another year?
Right. I think it's just for the seniors. The 25 to 85 count won't matter. I mean, they won't count those guys in 85 that elect to come back. I believe this. And Keith, you know this. Wherever you go, there's going to be competition. Yeah. And if you're looking at the roster and going, well, this guy and that guy's going to be going, that's probably the wrong place to be going, because. The number one thing about recruiting, and I think all players know this, and we make emphasis of it, every year we're trying to out-recruit the class we just brought in. It's pro football.
That's a good point.
It's pro football. Every year there's a common draft. And those guys who sit in the locker room, the pro players say, I'm not watching the draft. Yeah, they are when they pick the guys for position.
Exactly. I mean, me going back to Ohio State, the running back coach tell you, I'm looking for your replacement. I just got here. I'm already looking for the next guy.
That works. Competition.
Yeah.
Coach, it's interesting right now in Chicago or in Illinois, a lot of upset Big Ten parents are demanding answers from Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren. I'm curious, what is it like in the Pac-12 and with the parents of your players right now? Is there a similar reaction in the Pac-12 to the Big Ten where there's a lot of uneasiness right now and not a lot of questions answered? What's it like for your program right now in the Pac-12 compared to the Big Ten?
I haven't had any calls from any parent thus far. Not saying I might not get one or two, but I think most of the parents, I haven't had any issues with any of them talking about, wanting to play. And look, everybody wants to play. I want to coach. Players want to play. We're not like we don't want to play, but it's not our call. It's not, it's like all the fans, when you go to the stadium, they want to be the coach. They're not the coach. I'm not the coach here. The doctors are. The doctors, there's some people above me and above all the players. They're called the CEOs, they're called the presidents, and they're called ADs. They collectively came together in our conference, and it was 12-0. It wasn't like 6-6. It was 12-0 to postpone. So when that said, I'm a team player, and guess what? That's what we're going to do. And now I'm getting my players ready for whenever we decide to come back, we're going to be prepared to come back. And that's all you can do.
What's your day-to-day?
Off season right now, so they're lifting weights and
running.
Conditioning program.
They're doing all that stuff. We're actually having a draft today. We got a big draft going right now. That game.
I want to play at Arizona State right now. I mean,
team's going to play, man. That in the Call of Duty. So we're going right now.
Coach, last thing here from me, at least, as far as recruiting, how much is this not hurting recruiting? Because everyone's experiencing this in some way or another. But what are some things you and your staff has had to do to be able to adapt to recruiting and contact and those types of things?
Well, they're visiting us visually now. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about inviting parents and their sons to tour our campus, to be with the coaches, to meet our staff visually. Okay, and for us, we've done a pretty good job of recruiting. To be quite honest, we're getting some guys from all over the country, and we have a lot of guys committed right now. So it's gone good for us thus far. And I think it's the way it works. You adjust. Like in football, I always say this in football. There's always a plan, but a plan that can't be changed is a bad plan.
That's true.
So you got to change the plan now. How you go about it? But everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's got to recruit the same way.
Well, Coach, I'm curious because when you talk about that, it's one thing, and I heard about Keith Byars when he got recruited to Arizona State, they took him horseback riding. I'm trying to picture Keith on a horse. But you can't do that virtually, so that's where I'm at with this right now.
Yeah, it's been interesting, but I think a lot of young people realize, and young people want to take visits too. That's part of the process. They want to see your campus. So everyone's going to have to adjust right now. A lot of high schools in certain areas have been canceled as well. So we're all dealing with this.
But I'm good. Hey, Herman, if you ever need me, I'm a phone call away. And next time I'm in Phoenix, I'm definitely got to swing by the campus.
Come on.
Yeah, and give me a Seth off the golf course. Seth Joyner. I can always stop over.
Okay, I'm going to get you a Seth over here. You guys are always invited. You know that.
All right, appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
All right, Arizona State head football coach Herm Edwards, good enough to join us here today. Coach, thanks so much for your time. Keith, thank you as well. Guys, you have a great weekend.
Thank you now.
Message and data rates may apply up to 5 messages a month. TNC and privacy policy found at warbyparker.com/terms.
Need new glasses, but don't feel like leaving your house to shop? No problem. Warby Parker can help you out. Pick 5 pairs of Warby Parker frames, and they'll send them to your house for free. Try them on, take your time, get some opinions, see which ones you like. To get started, just text C to 64,000. Keep the frames for 5 days and send them back when you're done. It's super easy and it's totally free. If you find a winner, Warby Parker will send you a fresh pair outfitted with your prescription. Their high-quality glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. That's right, including the prescription lenses. There's no need to travel to an optical store. With Warby Parker, you can shop for glasses anytime, anywhere. Try 5 frames for free today with Warby Parker. Text C to 64,000 to pick your 5 frames to try on at home for free. Text C to 64,000 to get started for free. That's SEE to 64,000.
Rittal North America LLC in Urbana has several great opportunities for you. Rittal has immediate openings seeking experienced assembly operators, welders, machine operators, and paint loaders. Rittal offers a starting wage of up to $16 per hour with a $1 shift differential for second and third shifts, monthly attendance bonus, and benefits starting on the first of the month after hire. If interested, please email Katie McKee your resume at mckee.k@rittal.us. Rittal is proud to be an affirmative action and equal opportunity employer.
If Baby could talk, she'd say a lot. You'd know what she's thinking and what makes her happy. But unfortunately, Baby can't talk or remind you you're the one taking her to daycare today. And she won't speak up if you drive straight to work like any other day and never think to look in the backseat. Every year, dozens of kids die from heat stroke in cars. No one is perfect, so set a reminder and always look before you lock. Where's Baby? Paid for by NHTSA.
It's Mattress Firm's Labor Day sale. Hurry in and save up to $500 when you get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend $699 or more. and save up to 50% on select mattresses from our top-rated brands like Sealy and more. Shop in-store, online, or by phone today. Don't wait. Only at Mattress Firm's Labor Day sale. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. Valid at participating locations only. Some products only available online. For offer details, visit mattressfirm.com/sale.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
Everyone wants to be number one, right? And if you can't be number one, at least in the top 10. Well, Ohio is consistently in the top 10, and no one is claiming bragging rights. Ohio ranks in the top 10 states for train car accidents each and every year. If you drive in Ohio, please always be careful at every railroad crossing and report unsafe crossings at angelsontrack.org, because bad crossings kill good drivers. Sponsored by Angels on Track, aired by OAB and this station.
Sugat's here. Dell supports America's entrepreneurs during Small Business Month with all you need to office anywhere. Save up to 45% on computers and servers with Intel Core processors. Upgrade to new modern devices with Windows 10 Plus. Save on top brand tech while enjoying free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-S-DELL to talk to a Dell Technologies advisor. That's 877-S-DELL, or visit Dell.com/small business deals.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities, or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities, and the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Ask for it at the Mopar Service Center at your local Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealership.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression. My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Tune in every Friday night at 7 o'clock for the ESPN Dayton High School Football Game of the Week, presented by Kettering Health Network Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Check out wingam.com for the complete schedule and archive games. He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer.
Look at him go! He simply runs out of his shoe. He's running so fast.
And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just nailed it.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. 937-457-9464 is the number. KAB41 is my Twitter handle, and you can go on Facebook Live and see us right here at 1410 ESPN. Right before we went to since we come back out of the break, got to listen to my interview with Herm Edwards. You know, I love listening to Herman and talking to Herm. It takes about 15, 20 years off me because it makes me think I can still play. You know, he gets you fired up and he's so infectious, you know, whereas it's not, when you used to see him for many years on ESPN, you know, it's not an act. That's just who he is. And so to be around him on camera, off camera, it's a lot of fun to be around, you know, great individuals, you know, such as Herman Edwards. I promised before went to the interview that I was going to talk about the NBA, and I am. We're going to talk about that, but before I talk about that, I like to talk about the national news stories, but I don't want to ever forget about the local news stories here. And something I've been working on all summer long, talking about, I'm a product of Dayton Public Schools. I went to Roth High School. So I've been talking about different high schools here in the Dayton area, and some of the schools are closed now, and people forget that, when I say I went to Roth High School, it's, we're going probably our second generation of kids that don't even know it was ever a Roth High School. And I tell them where the location it was. It's, that's Thurgood Marshall. I'm like, no, before Thurgood Marshall, it was Roth. So Dayton Public Schools has a great history of high schools and individuals that come out of them. But because of the buildings are now closed, it went from 10 high schools, 11 high schools to now it went down to 4 at one point, but now it's back up to 6. So Dayton is recovering, but I still want to take time out to talk about a club that I'm affiliated with. It's called the Dayton Varsity Club. And we honor players and schools from the past. So last week I talked about Fairview and all the great, well, not all, but some of the great players that walked the halls at Fairview High School. And today I'm going to talk about Patterson High School before we get to the NBA playoffs. So Patterson High School, with the time when I was in school, it's called Stivers Patterson because they had 2 schools that combined. But I'm just going to talk about the Patterson part of it. And some of the players, some names you would probably know, you should know, but I'm just going to just revive their names, just a few of them. And one of them is an ex-Ohio State Buckeye by the name of Chris Ward. He played there at Patterson High School in the 70s. He went on to be recruited by The Ohio State University, played for Woody Hayes, and was an All-American at Ohio State, offensive tackle. Chris Ward, and then went on to play for the New York Jets, Daytonian. Chris Ward. And you can't go to Ohio State. You go into Woody Hayes athletic facility. They have a wall of All-Americans, first team All-Americans by year. And so you go into the 70s, you see Archie Griffin, and then you're like, hey, that's Chris Ward, Daytonian. Hey, so exactly. So Chris Ward's pictures in Woody Hayes athletic facility. So no matter when you played at Ohio State, you can still go back there and see pictures of Chris Ward, and had a great career. And then he's a Patterson High School alumni. Another alumni from Patterson High School, Marco Coleman. Marco played at Georgia Tech, had a great career there. Co-national champion in 1990 at Georgia Tech, went on to be drafted by the Miami Dolphins. And shortly thereafter, I joined him after his second year in Miami. And a lot of people get us confused, especially not here, but down there. I get you and Marco confused. Y'all must be from Ohio. Y'all from Dayton. It's like, yeah, man, but me and Marco don't look alike. But I guess, here in Dayton, we know that. But me and Marco, we, became friends, and great career and just a great individual. He's doing ways. I think he's coaching now, doing some back at his alumni. I ran into him in the airport last year. I said, what are you doing? I'm in town recruiting. So he's back at Georgia Tech. He's recruiting. So Marco Coleman, great career, great Daytonian. Another Dayton guy, Paul Brown. No, not Paul Brown, Paul Bryant. Let me get that right. Paul Bryant come out of Patterson High School. And he's also he's been athletic director at numerous places. He was athletic director at Grambling State University, South Carolina State, Stillman College, and right now he is the athletic director at Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, Florida. He's been in the athletic departments, colleges for over 20 plus years, but he did come out of Patterson High School. Paul Bryant. Also, Bruce Sky King. That just sounded like a basketball player, don't it? And it is. He was a basketball player. First team All-City when he was in high school. Scored the record, 50 points, while he was doing his senior year, at Patterson. Went on to be drafted by the Detroit Pistons in the 4th round, but he decided to go play basketball overseas, and he played in a whole bunch of European leagues, had a long career. But that is Bruce Sky King, just an outstanding player, went to University of Iowa after he left Patterson. So Patterson, they have a history. And Anthony Corbett. Anthony Corbett, I know Dayton Flyer fans know that name. You know, Anthony was All-City in high school. And when he finished his career at University of Dayton, he was the 9th all-time leading scorer with over 1,700 points. And he's a member of the UD Athletic Hall of Fame. You know, he's on the All-Century team of the top 20 players at UD. So Anthony Corbett, Patterson High School, Dayton Flyer, just a tremendous player. But Patterson, they have a long list of kids and players that was All-City. One of them being James Marble. His son is running track now, but James Marble was a great basketball player in high school. He was All-City, came out in 1979, went on to college and played a little basketball there. Also, somebody when I came out in 1982, a point guard from Patterson High School by the name of Jeff Arnold. We call him Legend. So Jeff Arnold was another of the great point guards that basketball players that played at Patterson High School. So I just want to throw out, and that's Dayton Varsity Club. Remember a whole lot of players from the past, and I'll be doing that periodically, you know, throughout the years on my show. But let's talk about the NBA. Since it's basketball season, it's still, I know normally doesn't feel like basketball season, but it is basketball season right now because of the pandemic. We're in the playoffs, and when playoff basketball in the NBA, that's when you make your name. You want to go from a whole lot of players have a pretty good regular season, but you want to be a big name guy. You want to go in that superstar status, you know, all-star status. You have to play big in the all-star. I mean, in the postseason. So you can make the all-star team by not having postseason success, but you know, we look at you, man, you know, you got to do it against the best of the best. That's how you do it. And so last year, you know, I had something on my show. It's like, who's going to be the breakout young NBA stars in this season's playoffs? Well, the playoffs started a little differently this year, and you didn't get a whole NBA season, but they still completed it. So who are the breakout stars in this year's NBA playoffs? So when I call you a breakout star, that means you have 3 years or less NBA experience. You know, Donovan Mitchell was that guy, you know, 2 years ago, and look at what Donovan Mitchell has been doing now. Last night he had 51 points. So I think he's a breakout star. But without further ado, who is the breakout star of the 2020 NBA playoffs? Luka Doncic. Triple-double yesterday, guys. Listen to these numbers if you don't already know. 43 points, 17 rebounds, and 13 assists. I think it's safe to say a star is born. He's probably said, I've been a star already, but no, you're on everybody's tongue. You're coming off everybody's lips name. We know who you are now. We even know how to pronounce your name. I learned how to spell your name yesterday. I just call you Luka, and now I know it's Doncic. I know how to spell your name. You have arrived, Luka. You have arrived. You know, in the game, the buzzer beater shot over the Clippers yesterday, even the series up 2 games apiece. It's going to be a heck of a humdinger these last 3 games. You know, now it's the best of 3. These guys are just slugging it out. Dallas and the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm enjoying the playoffs. And Luka Doncic, I think it's really safe to say this is real easy to say. He's the best Maverick player since Dirk Nowitzki. Wow, that's no surprise. But he is already comparisons. And, you know, sometimes the internet could be your friend. Sometimes it could be your enemy. So it depends on which way you look at it. They're already comparing him to Larry Bird. And I'm like, slow down. Let the young man play. You know, let him play. You know, Larry Bird, you know, that's, you know, it's a different player. He's in a different stratosphere. Not that Luka can't ever be there or even get there, but he's Larry Bird. Larry Bird is Larry Bird. He's Larry Legend for a reason. So and I'm not, in this mindset. I always want to put a king's crown on somebody's head and crown him and call him great. Luka is having a great start of his NBA professional career. He's 21 years old, and I specified. I said NBA because he's been a pro since he was 16, playing overseas. So he turned pro at 16 years old. So he didn't get to the NBA until he was 19. So he's a seasoned pro. He's just only a young NBA player, but he is a seasoned pro right now, and second year in the NBA, he is a Stars born. He had everything you want to see out of a player. Luka gave it to you yesterday. Big shots, passes, rebounds. And I'm excited, to see how his career, progresses. And that's one thing about sports in general. But let's talk about the NBA since we're in the NBA. Everybody has a golden era and a nostalgic feeling when you fell in love with something, and then you're like, man, is the game going to get better, or is it going to get worse? And I think overall, the superstars of the game, I wouldn't necessarily call them better. It's in good hands. It's got health. We have to enjoy LeBron James right now while you can, because LeBron's not going to play forever. It may seem like it, but it will be some moment he's going to have to shut it down. And before LeBron, he's like, it's Kobe. Oh, man. Kobe's he's finally going to retire. It's finally going to be an NBA without Kobe. This doesn't quite seem right. And yesterday, side note, was Kobe Bryant's birthday. Wish him a happy heavenly birthday. We don't, we know what happened to Kobe back in February. He's always going to be near and dear, to our hearts. But that's, what the NBA is about. Great players passing the torch or lighting the torch for the next generation of great players. And I think the NBA is going to be just fine in the next 5 to 10 years of great players, being in the league, not led by Luka Doncic, hopefully Zion Williamson, he stays healthy, has a 82-game season, hopefully someday he can be that guy. Donovan Mitchell. I think that the future of the NBA is just as bright as it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, et cetera, et cetera. Because you go even back when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came into the NBA in the 79-80 season, they was like, man, we got to inject some new life into the NBA. And they did it. They put the NBA on their shoulders. And then when they were starting to slow down, because Dr. J was in the NBA when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came in, but Magic said, Doc said, we got Kareem, but we got Moses, but we need these young guys are going to help carry the torch for us because they carried it during the 70s. Magic and Bird did it in the 80s. Michael Jordan, carried it into the 90s. He handed it off to Kobe. In the early 2000s, Kobe gave it to LeBron. LeBron is waiting to hand it to somebody. Who is it going to be? Who's it going to be? Is it Luka Doncic? Is it Donovan Mitchell? Kyrie Irving said, wait a minute, what about, I'm still here. Yeah, but you got more than 3 years in the league. I want to give it to a young guy, an up-and-coming guy. Yes, KD, I don't want you to, hear that I didn't mention your name. KD, you have already arrived. You guys got championships. Steph Curry, you already got championships. I'm talking about that next generation of young guys. And, hey, they are more than willing to say, here's my torch. Put some fire on it. And that's awesome. That's what it's supposed to be. That's how you want to see, your league thrive. The same can be said in other major sports too. That's what it's supposed to look like. But this NBA playoffs right now, like I said, I got my Philadelphia Eagles hat on because we're still undefeated. And I'm a diehard 76er fan. If you listen to this show any length of time, I'm a diehard Sixer fan. Go back to Dr. J. But they got swept 4-0. They got swept 4-0. Last year, they lost on their last second shot in the semifinals against the Toronto Raptors, eventual champion. And this year, they don't win a game in the playoffs. That's stepping backwards. So what happens next? Well, I know they didn't have Ben Simmons. And this is supposed to be my last summer of being nice to Ben Simmons because I needed to see him do something this year. But he got hurt, the pandemic. So, Ben, you got some time with me. We'll take you back in Philadelphia one more year. But just like, you know, if you pick up the papers there in Philadelphia, they are hot at everybody. That's a tough town to play in. They love you, but it's going to be tough. A lot of people are going to catch the heat. And so Brett Brown, the head coach, is going to catch a lot of heat. Just like here in Cincinnati, Bell is getting his share of heat also sometimes. But it always comes back to coaching. The coaches, you got to bear the brunt of the record. Like my coach said, we are what our record says we are. And so your 76ers, you are swept out in the playoffs team, 0-4. I don't care about we was on neutral side. Doesn't matter. You got swept. That being said, it's time for a coaching change, if you ask me. Yes. Yeah, but, you know, and that doesn't mean you can't. Brett Brown's not a good coach. You know, when you get fired in professional sports, that does not mean you're not good. It just means, one of the things it means, you're not good enough for this job in this franchise right now. Maybe you need to pick up and go to another franchise and, you know, and start fresh there. You've seen, there's countless examples of that happening in all major sports. You know, look at the Super Bowl champion this year, Andy Reid. Who didn't think Andy Reid was a really good coach? You know, he was coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, took them to the Super Bowl. But at some point, your message goes stale, and the players can't hear you anymore. And it's time for you to take your message to new ears. And you need a side of energy, because sometimes being in one place too long, it gets to be old news. Can you hear me, Marvin Lewis? I still think Marvin Lewis should be coaching in the NFL if he so desired. And I think he would be a very successful NFL head coach. But Cincinnati, he was probably here too long. 16 years is probably too long without multiple Super Bowls. And they had no Super Bowls, no playoff wins. It's time to move on. But Andy Reid had playoff wins in Philadelphia, just no Super Bowls. But then he gets to Kansas City, got a shot at life, and, you know, new quarterback, new everything. Boom, they're Super Bowl champions. So Brett Brown, maybe someplace else will work out good for you. But Philadelphia, no, sir. And for you Cincinnati Reds fans, hey, the season is still young. It's not going to get any older. You haven't even played 30 games yet. You know, it'll be half over then. But as bad and as miserable as my Pittsburgh Pirates are, I'm trying to always find something positive to say about them. They're only 5.5 games out of the wild card spot. But we always said that the baseball season was going to be a sprint. 60 games in 66 days. So it's a lot of doubleheaders coming up for you teams that haven't played any. But there's still a chance to turn your season around. It's going to be fast. It's going to be quick. So Cincinnati, who's to say you're not going to make the playoffs? I don't know. You're 11-15. A 3-game winning streak, you'll be right back there where you want to be. You're only 5.5 games out of first place. It could happen. But with this beauty of this baseball season, it's just a mad sprint to the finish. You know, because it's only 60 games. What are you going to do, with that? Since we're talking about baseball, I'm still on you, Oakland A's. I said I'm going to mention it every week. Ryan Christensen, the bench coach for the Oakland Athletics, the Nazi salute. He still hasn't been suspended, fined, or banned, what I'm calling for. He needs to be banned from the NBA. For Major League Baseball, lifetime. If Pete Rose is lifetime banned, he ain't getting no Nazi salute. Certainly, Ryan Christensen needs to be lifetime ban from Major League Baseball. What Ohio State football parents, they are voicing their displeasure, led by Randy Wade, Sean Wade's defensive back father. You know, they've been to Chicago protesting outside the Big Ten commissioner's Kevin Warren's office this weekend. They have a protest at Ohio Stadium, you know, solidarity. And really the main thing they're protesting about is give us answers. We want transparency. How did you come? Of course, they want to have the season back on, but they want to know how did you arrive at this decision to cancel the season? I mean, and I think it's a very legitimate question. You know, not only are Ohio State parents asking that question, all the Big Ten is asking that question. Pac-12 is asking that question to a certain degree. You heard Herm Edwards, what he had to say about it. You know, and it's a tough situation. You know, I'm reading this breaking news. All the Big Ten commissioners, all the Big Ten athletic directors voted to play. Of course they did. Is that breaking news? You can go to the next step of breaking news. Let's ask the fans. Do the fans want to see them play? Yeah, all the majority. Look at this poll. 95 or 98% of fans want to see college football in the Big Ten. I get that. You know, but like I said, I love the game. I want to see football. I want to see my Buckeyes, you know, and I'm not being doom and gloom or Joe wish bad or anything like that, but I would hate, you know, to wish bad on somebody throughout this football season, and then you can come back and say, see, the Big Ten did the right thing by not playing. So-and-so got sick. So-and-so died. I ain't trying to be that guy. Not going to be that guy. You know, and I don't want no parent or anybody to have to, you know, answer that question. You know, woulda, shoulda, coulda. So that's a decision that was made. And I said a couple of weeks ago, I don't think there is a wrong decision. Whether you just decide to play or not to play, that's the individual decision that you decide to make with you and yours. You know, and it shouldn't, you know, I'm not trying to bail the school out or the conference out, but it really shouldn't come to that. It should come to the individual player and his parents to make up that decision. You know, and whether they say we're going to play or not play, that's on them. You know, but I think that it should be an option out there for everyone to answer that question and not be trying to sign no medical waivers and all that stuff, which that gets into a whole different ball of wax. You know, when you start talking about the law and things of that nature, I don't want to get in that or even try to go down that rabbit hole. With that being said, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Big Ten are not going to have football right now. Unless somebody got a Hail Berry in their back pocket, they're going to throw out there and then it's going to be back on. But I don't know. And I haven't, you know, I asked Herman how he felt about the spring season and when that was. I don't know. So that's to be determined. But in the meantime, I just want to thank everyone for listening to the Keith Byars Show. Coronavirus is out there. Take care of yourself. Wear your mask. And it's okay not to shake my hand if you see me in public. I understand. We can head nod, bump elbows, bump fists, and do that for everyone. You take care of me, I'll take care of you. Remember, get out and do random acts of kindness for your fellow man. And the first random act of kindness is wear your mask. You wear yours, they wear theirs. You've been listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. I'll see you next time.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers with home daily lanes. $2,000 sign-on bonus, great pay and benefits. Contact Cody. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation.